Marrast Hill to be open to vehicular traffic from Monday. We'll have details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news for Thursday, December 5th, I am Rikisha St. Louis. Works Minister Honorable Gregory Bowen says the Marrast Hill Road will be opened to vehicular traffic on Monday, following its closure due to road breakage last week. The temporary road fix was undertaken by Sunrise Construction Incorporated. Minister Bowen on Thursday said there has been a change in the scope of work for Marrast Hill, which originally included the construction of retaining walls. Following an accident which resulted in the breaking of the road, the decision was taken to do a temporary fix to avoid further disruption in the flow of traffic.
Originally, we had the retaining wall to be built, the area to be filled and compacted, and then resurfaced, and the road would then be reopened. However, that will take 28 days minimum, since before we could put any load against the retaining wall, it must be cured. We have decided now that we will fill without the retaining wall being built, and fill in such a manner that we'll expand it towards the side, and the road can then be reopened. At the expectation it is compare 28 days with Monday. This is the time we have in mind for reopening the road.
Minister Bowen says permanent construction work will resume in January during the slow period following the busy Christmas holiday. He encourages businesses to use the Christmas period to stockpile.
The rate at which the police force must deploy its members in areas where there will be no need if this road has reopened. And that is why from the policy level, from the government, the ministry level, we have decided to work it in this manner. Therefore, there will be an opportunity for the heavy trucks and the trailers to continue the business. We're asking, therefore, the business community to utilize this period to stockpile, because come January, in a low period, we will close this road and do the necessary works. Christmas time, a lot of traffic. You, the business community, the sugar mill, the flour mill, etc., you use it, so work day and night.
Contractor Desmond John explained the scope of work being done in the temporary phase of construction.
We have expanded the base and we are compacting the tiff in layers of 8 inches, making sure it's damp and moist, and we are receiving between 95% and 100% fracture. And we are bringing it right up to the surface. We'll put on a base course and then put a temporary wearing course on it. And that will hold for the period temporarily until the major work and permanent work start in January.
Private sector senator commends government's 2019 performance. Private sector representative in the Senate, Senator Christopher Diali, says government's performance in 2019 speaks volumes to the vision of the administration for the country. He said the sector rates the government for being stable, responsible, and for boosting investor confidence in the local economy during the last year. He was at the time making his contribution to the 2020 budget. According to Senator Diali, the government has been supportive of the private sector and continues to engage businesses in the affairs of the country. He's looking forward to more positive engagements in 2020.
That the performance in 2019 serves the private sector in two particular ways. It speaks to stability, because when government is showing that they can meet their targets and their fiscal responsibilities as they have laid out, it gives us the impression in the private sector that there is stability. It also says to us that when government can pay their bills on time to the private sector companies that buy from them, and even the utility companies, that is so critical to our survival, that is a positive. That is a positive. And we cannot let that bypass without saying that. It speaks to government meeting their responsibility, and that is an important thing. For us, the performance in 2019 has been commendable from a private sector point of view, and we believe that's the way to go, and we encourage the government to continue in that light.
Continuing with the news, government is pursuing the BOLT, Build, Operate, Lease, Transfer arrangement as a policy direction for saving financial resources on the rental of government facilities while creating hundreds of jobs for Grenadians. Prime Minister Dr. The Right Honorable Keith Mitchell made this announcement during the just concluded 2020 budget presentation at the Houses of Parliament in Mount Weldale. Dr. Mitchell said that the bold arrangement for 3 long-awaited infrastructural projects will incur no upfront demands on the government's coffers. In fact, he said the value of the projects to private entities is an estimated US $100 million and will create job opportunities for about 200 Grenadians. The finance minister indicated that the private sector's willingness to invest in our country is a testimony to its unmatched level of confidence in the local economy. However, the Prime Minister is even more heartened by the level of employment and economic activities these approved projects will generate. Among the buildings which will be renovated under this initiative are Governor General's residence, the Halls of Justice, and the police headquarters. This is a national report. We'll have more news after the break.
The Carenage will be transformed into a magical wonderland with lights, fun, music and action on Friday the 6th and Saturday 7th December in the first annual Festival of Lights. On December 6th, the action begins at 6 p.m. and on the 7th, the action begins at 5 p.m. and we go until 11. Come with your family to enjoy an amazing light show, a concert featuring our top local artists, Parang, Carol, Santa's Village, a kids zone, string band music, a Christmas night market, local cuisine and much more. But wait! There's more. On the 14th, the festivities begin at 5 p.m. and on the 21st, it kicks off at 3 p.m. Festival of Lights is sponsored by the Grenada Hotel and Tourism Association, Hideaway True Blue, Range Development, Harvey Law Group, National Lotteries Authority, Glenelg Natural Spring Water, Netherlands Insurance, and Jonas Brown and Hubbard's. Festival of Lights, the Carenage, December 6th and 7th, brought to you by the Grenada Tourism Authority and the Ministry of Tourism. No unauthorized spending.
Welcome back. One of Grenada's cultural icons has died. Mr. Winston Fleury worked tirelessly to ensure that Grenada became known on the world stage for its rich cultural heritage. In Carriacou, his flamboyant on-stage performances with the drum and his dancing moves to the big drum and quadrille are unlike any other. Minister for Culture and the Arts, Senator the Honorable Noland Cox, a native of Carriacou, extended condolences to the family of Mr. Fleury on the behalf of the government, saying his passing is indeed a great loss.
On behalf of the Ministry of Youth Development, Sports, Culture and the Arts, and of course the government of Grenada, we wish to extend condolences to his family, his kids in particular. I know it's a difficult period for them. His nephew, who I know also, who lives in Carriacou as well. So we ask them to be strong in this time.
Senator Cox also spoke to Mr. Fleury's contribution to culture, in particular the big drum, saying it was an invaluable one which spans decades.
He is a cultural icon for Carriacou. I know him as a young boy, moving, pushing the big drum, culture of big drum in Carriacou. He also had a rich history in terms of linking Carriacou to our African heritage. I think that is where he really focused most of his efforts on. He trained a number of persons in big drum, teaching them to play the drums. He also extended Carriacou, brought Carriacou culture to other parts of the world. He has done so much for us in terms of sustaining big drum on a whole in Carriacou. He really commands that aspect of our culture. I mean, when he takes a drum and starts to beat, everybody would move. You can hear a distinct difference. When he takes the floor to dance, his style, his confidence, I mean, he was just a notch above the rest.
Mr. Fleury, he says, also made valuable contributions to the agriculture sector on the Sister Isle. He
used to rear cattle. He had, at one point in time, the most cattle in Carriacou. He had a large flock, a large herd. He did a lot of work in terms of the development of cattle in Carriacou. And also after going and study, coming back and working as an agriculture extension, livestock extension officer. I also work along with him as a farmer as well. So he has a rich history on both sides of the coin, culture and on the farming side. So he's going to be missed.
Senator Cox says the contributions made by Mr. Fleury during his lifetime will always be acknowledged by the people of Carriacou and Petite Martinique. Paying tribute to Mr. Fleury, the Grenada Cultural Foundation described him as a distinguished gentleman who led the Big Drum movement in the sister isle of Carriacou and exposed it to an international audience from time to time. He was made a cultural ambassador of Grenada in 2011, and in 2017 he received the Prime Minister's Lifetime Achievement Award from the Grenada Cultural Foundation. Finally, in the news, the Grenada Tourism Authority has made a slight change to the inaugural Festival of Lights on Friday to ensure a smoother flow of traffic. The show will now begin at 7 p.m. instead of 6 p.m. However, the start times for the festival on the 7th, 14th and 21st will remain the same. During the festival, which was launched on October 8th, the carnage will be lit from Buns Point to BB's Crabback. Day 1 will feature the launch of a dinghy concert and a light show, while Day 2 will feature local cuisine, a Christmas night market, and a chance for children to meet Santa Claus. Cole Hostialik, the GTA manager for product development and research, spoke to what patrons can expect.
Friday and Saturday are the main nights, and we have really great acts, so we're continuing to fine-tune those as we speak. We have it also on the 14th, where we have a mini Christmas market, and you're going to have some pan, for example. But on the 21st, we have a little bit more for the kids. On the 21st, we're going to have a bouncing castle area for them. We're going to have train rides around the carnage. It's going to also start earlier. Right, so it's going to start at 3 p.m. and it's going to end at 9 o'clock. But every night when you come, we are going to be stapling in the light show, because that is the big wow for us. The laser lights and the little Santa projections and all of these things that are going to be on the plaza.
The GTA is looking forward to a fruitful event while also promoting the carnage.
Hopefully, as we continue to go on, this is year 1, but we see that it has so much potential for many more years to come. Of course, yes, the Ministry of Tourism and the Grenada Tourism Authority are the ones, spearheading this project, but we can't do it without the business community on the carnage, and everybody has chipped in their own way.
That story just ended the national report for today, Thursday, December 5th, 2019. Let's recap the top story. Maras Hill to be opened to vehicular traffic from Monday. On behalf of the entire news team here at the Government Information Service, I am Rikisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.
Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new National Party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency.
Now this is the big one as Culture Train String Band Group presents The Parang Train 2.0 from Friday, November 1st to Saturday, December 21st. And we kick things off on the Sister Isle. Friday, November 1st, the Brunswick Cemetery. November 9th, Bristol Shop in Leicester. November 15th, Modest Shop in Mount Royal. November 16th, Wayne's Bar, Hillsborough. November 22nd, Brongo Shop, Harvey Vale. November 23rd, Goosey Shop, Winwood. November 27th, Sky Shop in Brunswick. November 29th, we head to Union Island to Hugh Malzat Square, Clifton. November 30th, we inside Petite Martinique at Jigs Cross. December 4th, Pro Shop, Belvedere. On December 6th, we head to the mainland Grenada at Travelers Bar, Grandmore. And on December 8th, Gold's Bar under the Bamboo, Pedmota. December 11th, Marvin Shop in 6 Roads. And on Saturday, December 21st, it's the grand finale round the island, and all events start from 7 p.m. Parang Train 2.0, brought to you by Grenada Tourism Authority, Government of Grenada, Grenada Distillers Limited, Digicel, Vibes FM, Sister Isle Radio, Amazing Colors, Ariza Credit Union, and Booms Construction.
The Parang Train, and they'll be coming in by you.
stride. Try to match up on next man life. Fix your life. And as soon as I start walking hard, you want to make something must be wrong, you man. I don't come here for that, all you help me. One and that's it, I'm telling you. I'm telling you nothing that will never defeat me. Because show me your destiny. I'm telling you. Take your hand and point it up in the ceiling for me. Please. I'm telling you, rule number one, we don't come to beg nothing from them. I'm telling you, stop the people music, look everybody chanting. I'm telling you, counting people business while we counting the blessings. I'm telling you, counteraction time, so help me broadcasting message. No bad vibes on my side. We fuel by
Good morning, good morning, good morning to all of our listening audience. You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada on a beautiful Friday morning. Of course, it's always a pleasure to be here with you. A special good morning to those of you listening on 97.5 City Sound FM, 89.5 CRFM, 92.9 Sister Isle Radio broadcasting from Hillsborough, Carriacou, and to 94.9 We Noise Radio out there in Brooklyn, New York. Guys, it's a wonderful, wonderful Friday morning. A special good morning to those of you joining us on the live. Remember to share the live, like the live, get everyone involved in the conversation. All right. It's always a pleasure being here. And of course, it's Friday, so we know that the lines are open very early this morning. The number to call is 440-7377 in local calls, 440-7377 for WhatsApp messages. Remember, if you're trying to call through WhatsApp, you're not going to get through. We're not able to answer WhatsApp calls. And, of course, if you're calling from the diaspora, it's 347-329-3101. Yesterday, we had a very invigorating conversation as it surrounds some of the accusations and the claims made by the other side towards the government and, of course, towards our Prime Minister. And we're going to continue that conversation. We're not going to let it fall on deaf ears because, you know, as long as they're talking about it, we'll continue to present you with the facts, right? We're not going to let the story remain lopsided, you know, for lack of a better word. But, of course, we are going to continue the conversation and we are going to continue sharing with you all of the wonderful things that the government has planned for you, whether it's in the pipeline, whether it's already been implemented, whether it's something that is going to come in 2020, something to look forward to. We will keep you updated with those facts as they become available. So yesterday we had a lot of conversation surrounding the efficiency and the effectiveness of the public service and how all of us as a unit working together will ensure that the public service becomes more effective, more efficient, so that we can raise productivity and in turn, guess what? We raise the size of the pie, you know, or the pot that we all have to benefit from in some way or the other, or at some point or the other. I just got a notice here, traffic interruption notice. The National Water and Sewerage Authority, NWASA, is in collaboration with the Traffic Department of the Royal Grenada Police Force, advises that the northbound lane of the Morris Bishop Highway is closed to vehicular traffic until 4 p.m. today, Friday, December 6, 2019. Traffic has been diverted through Frequenty into the Limes or through Dusty Highway. This has become necessary in order to facilitate repairs to a broken water main along the highway. The authority apologizes for any inconvenience caused and thanks consumers for their patience as we work towards the safe disposal of wastewater in a viable and efficient manner. NWASA is committed to meeting customers' needs. All right, so keep that in mind on your way to the south of the island today, that the northbound lane of the Morris Bishop Highway has been closed due to a broken water main that NWASA is currently in the process of fixing, and that issue is expected to be resolved by 4 this afternoon. So we definitely want to keep that in the back of our minds. In addition to that, we want to keep in the back of our minds that the St. George Southeast Parliamentary Representative is hosting their first Christmas party, all right, for the children of the St. Paul's area. So they have their toy distribution and Christmas party being held by the police station. So you definitely want to send your children to be a part of that. And that is happening tomorrow, Friday. Let me just verify the day for you. And then I can tell you exactly when. So that is expected to happen tomorrow, Lord. Tomorrow is Saturday. Hear me yourself, tomorrow, Friday. Today's Friday. So that is expected to happen tomorrow, Saturday, at the police station junction. All right. And it's expected to begin at 5 p.m. So you want to send your children to be a part of that. And they also want to remind that their weekly breakfast is still happening. And that is to be held close to the Imperial Cuts Barbershop at the St. Paul's Parish Main Road. So you definitely want to participate in that as well, because that is, of course, in aid of supporting the Christmas parties, you know, getting funding for those Christmas parties. So yesterday in conversation, we'd have spoken a lot about the recent Al Jazeera video. And last night, I was browsing through Facebook, social media, of course, just viewing the different comments under the statement made by the government in relation to that. And I was disappointed. I know y'all find I just get disappointed a lot, but when y'all giving me things to be disappointed about, I have to be disappointed. I was disappointed in the responses by some of our fellow Grenadians as it relates to the statement, all right? And again, we are a people that are politically driven, and that's okay. It's okay to be passionate about something. It's okay to feel strongly about something. What's not okay is to allow that something to dictate how we think and how we respond, to allow us to not see things from a rational point of view. That's where the problem is. And that's what I've been seeing a lot recently. So Al Jazeera put out this beautiful, colorful, well-orchestrated video as it relates to passports for sale and the 17 to 20-year-old briefcase issue. You know, put a nice little polish on it and put a set of graphics in there, and everybody's excited as if this is something new, when it is not. It's not something new. It's something that has been talked about, that has gone through the mill. And we all were up in arms that Grenada is selling passports, and the CBI program is absolutely bogus, and they're receiving campaign money through these programs and through selling passports and all of these. We were all passionate about it, all excited about it. You know, it painted Grenada in a very negative light, a very negative aspect of Grenada was put forward. In addition to that, it painted our Prime Minister in a negative light. And we were all passionate about it. We had all sorts of things to say. We put our opinions out there. We asked for a statement. We asked for a reasoning. We asked for something to be said. And something was said. And the same Grenadians turned around and said, "Oh, well, we expected them to say that." Oh, well, that is a well put together excuse. You know? Oh, well, that didn't make no difference because we still know. you know? And it's saddening. It's disappointing that we are so passionate about the negative. But when it comes to the positive, when it comes to sharing the good stuff, we aren't quick to respond in a positive light. It's almost as if we are excited, we are enthused by negativity. And I'd hate to believe that we as Grenadians would like that. You know, when we have a government that is working so hard to ensure that they do the best for this country. You may not like the NNP. You may not like your representative. You may not like Dr. Mitchell. You may not like some of the policies that they put in place. But what you should not do is allow your dislike to blind you from the fact that there's so much happening in the country, that so much has been done in Grenada, that there's so much more to do. So we must be careful because it's our country. This is our Grenada. And we must be mindful that the things that we do don't necessarily affect the government, doesn't necessarily affect the party that is NNP. Of course, we feel it. We feel the effects of it. But when you do these things, you are directly affecting the country that you live in. Your home is like throwing a bucket of water on your bed and still expecting to sleep in it. You know? And there's a comment here that says, Ms. Duncan, people have a right to say what they want. They are only a minority. Please do not be disappointed. You know? But you see, while they may be a minority, their opinions are getting out there. And even if they are a minority, the problem is not the fact that they're saying what they're saying. The problem is the fact that even the people who should be sharing the positivity, maybe even if it's as a joke, would share the negativity and give fuel to what they are doing. And that's where the problem comes in. That's why we need to be mindful of what we do as Grenadians, of what we share, of the information that we put there. Because remember, Grenada is under a spotlight right now. We are shining. We are beaming. We are center stage. You know, international countries are looking at us. We are a global example in a lot of areas. What we don't want to do is to tarnish that good image with negativity. And not just any old negativity, you know, propaganda, false information, wrong news. Why do we want to do that to our state, to the place where we live? Why would we want to do that? You know? So we definitely do have to be mindful, guys, of the things that we say, the things that we put out there about the state of Grenada. And I'll continue to remind us. I'll continue to preach it. I'll continue to say it because it's important. It has to be said. I listened to the Senate debate, and I listened to the young senators talking about, oh, we don't have this, and we don't have that, and we don't have the other. And it's not that we don't have, We have these things. Do we need more of these things? We absolutely do. We need more. And more will come. But it's not just the government's job to ensure that Grenada succeeds, that Grenada excels, that the economy grows and prospers. It is in the interest of all of us as Grenadians to ensure that this happens. It is in all of our interests to ensure that Grenada prospers. It's a matter of a marriage between the public sector and the private sector to ensure that there is this collaboration to assist in the growth of the economy, because we have to admit, and we've said this before, that government is not going to be able to provide jobs for everybody. It's not going to happen. And that is where the marriage between the public and private sector comes in. We talk about, there's going to be a lot of investment, or we focus a lot on tourism. But if you sit and you look at this thing logically, you'd see that tourism is one of the tools that drives a lot of the other sectors. Agriculture, healthcare, education. Tourism is a tool that drives a lot of these things. Once we can build our tourism sector, that is more money coming into our country. Remember, it's one pot, one pie. And I cannot stress that enough. It is one pie. We are all eating from one pie. It's not two different pies or three different pies or a pie and a cupcake. It is one pie. And out of that one pie, we all have to eat. The private sector has a share. The public sector has a share. The vulnerable people of the country, they have a share. The unemployed have a share. The children have a share. We all have a share. So we all must ensure that this pie can grow. We had to put a little extra baking powder in this pie to expand it, make it fluffier, make it bigger, so that we all can benefit from it, so that we all can get a bigger share. So when I look at and I listen to some of these things, when I listen to the political leader of the other party questioning the reason for reducing the debt stock in Grenada, when I listen to that, I have to be disappointed. Is this the alternative we have for Grenada? Is that it? Y'all have to do better than that. Y'all need to try a different method, because the method that you used in 2008, you can't put a wrapping paper on it and come and serve it to us again. You can't want to talk about the briefcase issue again and expect us to buy it. That was the basis of their campaign. And people thought, okay, well, let's give them a try. But they failed, and they still have not learned. Because, you see, it's so important that we manage our economy properly. Because government's duty is not only to just manage the economy, but is to ensure that with this management, an enabling environment is created for economic growth, job creation, infrastructural development, improved health care. All of these things are as a result of proper economic management of our resources. And that is why the fiscal responsibility rule was put in place. It wasn't put in place as a crutch or an excuse for the government to not give people what they want. It was put there as a handicap for the government so that they can manage the country's resources properly, that they can be held accountable for the taxpayers' dollars that goes back into our recurrent revenue, our recurrent expenditure that pays our light bill, the government's light bills and their salaries and wages and all of these things that we're fighting for. All of that is coming from that one pot. There isn't an additional pot. So we have to try to build that. We have to learn to be supportive. We may not like the government, but we cannot deny the fact that they are doing their best. And they're not sitting there saying, oh, are we doing so? Or they have to take what all they get. No, they have identified areas of improvement. They have identified that we are not the best thing since sliced bread. But we would like to ensure that we do our best to ensure that Grenada comes from point A to point B. And that is what makes the difference. Putting plans and policies in place to ensure further development of the country and not just pointing fingers and say, well, is this person's fault and is that person's fault? In 2008, when they got into government and the debt to GDP ratio was 108% and the country could not get any loans. We couldn't get any grants. We couldn't issue any bonds because we were uncreditable. People were losing their homes. They were losing their jobs. Government couldn't pay simple things like electricity bills and phone bills and water bills. They couldn't pay local debt. That is what we came from. Lest you forget, let me remind you, that is what we came from. Where wages and salaries couldn't be paid. Right? That's what we came from. And because of visionary leadership, our Prime Minister, when came into office in 2013, went to our financial institutions and presented a plan. See, that's the difference. They didn't go into office and say, well, the NDC leave us with a bankrupt country. Our debt is 108%. People have to be paid. We can't pay them because what's the state of the country? No. They didn't do that. They worked on a plan to kickstart our economy, to get it going again. And look at where we are now, where our debt to GDP is 55.8%. And we have people who would have brought our country to 108 still have the audacity to argue as to why we're trying to get it under 60 when the recommendation is 60. But you couldn't even get it to 60. You actually brought it higher. So why? Why? How could you stand on a public forum and address Grenadians when your institution is the reason why we are not further than we are today? How could you? How could you do that with a clear conscience? And remember, guys, our lines are open from the very beginning. The numbers to call are 440-7377, local calls, 440-7377 for our WhatsApp messages. Remember, we can't get calls on WhatsApp. And 347-329-3101 for overseas calls. You know, I have to talk about it. I have to speak my mind. I have to be the voice of the people out there who don't have voices. I have to be. We have to be. We have to give you the information so that when they come to you with nonsense, bogus stories, you are able to say, that ain't songing right, you know, because these are the facts. We have our first caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Hello. Hot Talk?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hot Talk is it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, but you do not know grain has started in 2008. What about before? What about the corruption all they had before? The 400 million.
I'm not accustomed to cutting off callers, but I really can't deal with that kind of negativity this morning, you know. Hey, caller, I don't understand where you came from with that information and trying to derail, but I'm not going to allow it this morning. If you have these kind of bogus claims and this kind of propaganda, this is not the program for it. Kem Jones and George Grant, they host programs to deal with these kind of propaganda stories. So maybe you could take time to call them. We don't have the time for that today. We have time for sharing facts. You know, we don't have time for that. We have time to talk about the $43.5 million in salary increases allocated for the next cycle. That's what we have time to talk about. We have time to talk about all of the benefits that are going to be derived, you know, from the budget for 2020. That's what we have time to talk about. And the country didn't start in 2008. You're right. But 2008 is a period that was very sour for a lot of us. And since everybody is pretending like they don't remember that period, it's my duty to remind you. You know? So you had to come again with something else. Or maybe call Kem in the morning and make that point. But you're not going to get to make that point here. I'm sorry. You know? We have a lot of things to talk about. We have to talk about the $300 million that will be spent in rehabilitating 10 farms. Farm Actress Road, sorry. Right? We have a real thing to talk about. We have the 517 new small businesses and the 748 existing businesses in fishing, agriculture, tourism, and the retail sectors, you know, that have benefited a lot of people. We have the 1,514 jobs that have been positively affected. 661 of them being new jobs. That's what we have to talk about. You know, this government is not saying, I'm not sitting here saying that this government is perfect, that we've never, you know, but the difference in this government and any other administration is that we plan. We see the need. We admit our shortcomings and we work towards making it better. We find ways and resolutions for dealing with these things. So we're not all talk. We are more action. So there's a lot of things that we need to look forward to. And when I was listening to the debate in the Parliament this week, and I'll make that point as soon as I take this call. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Ms. Duncan. How are you?
Hi, good morning. I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm just calling to commend you on the way that you're conducting the program. Let's continue to stay focused, stay positive, and ignore the detractors. They call, just cut them off. Don't waste time with them. And don't argue or nothing with them.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I want us to remember our brothers and sisters in Dominica.
Yeah.
And what is transpiring there today with their general election. Let's please keep them in mind.
Yeah.
And also our brother Ian, who I understand suffered a stroke.
Yes.
We need to keep him in our prayers as well. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
All right, you too. Thank you so much, caller. Yes, of course, we do need to keep our brother in prayer. He is down currently, but with God, all things are possible, and we hope the best for him. And of course, we do want to extend our condolences to the family of Mr. Fleury. Of course, a wonderful cultural icon, a man after my own heart who deals with big drum. And anybody who knows me knows that is my thing. Big drum dancing, big skirt dancing, and big drums, and everybody knows that's my thing. So we have definitely lost a piece of culture in his passing. So we definitely here at the New National Party would like to extend our condolences to his family. We have another caller this morning. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Miss Honey Bun.
Good morning, Miss Jacob.
How you do?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine, I'm fine. Well, you make me down now.
Why?
My brother with the stroke. When he got the stroke?
Well, I'm not 100% sure of all of the details. But what
I heard it already, but I just didn't.
Right, but what I do know.
I didn't take on that because I know what today.
Friday.
Today Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I talked to Mommy George, and Mommy George tell me she talked to brother Ian.
Mm-hmm.
And he was. And we have a nice, beautiful brother that was gone and leave us, you know.
Yeah. Big piece of culture there, you know.
My God.
Yes. You know. Well, it happens. But in the case of Ian, I know that he is doing considerably better.
Yeah,
of course, we continue to pray and support.
We have to pray for brother Ian.
Yeah.
And my dear brother, we have to pray for his brother and them in Dominica. Because this morning I go wrong in some prayers, eh?
Yeah.
While I praying for Dominica, I cry. Daddy say, you stop it. Go and rest yourself. I go, I lie down, I put my head back on the pillow. And when I get up strong as ever, and I pray for Dominica this morning. Oh, Lord Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, well, we do have to keep them in our prayers.
Yeah, we have to pray. We have to pray.
Yeah. It's a sad situation, but
yeah, we have to pray. We have to pray for that Prime Minister, and I wish he get his seat back.
Oh.
I wish he get it back. I want to get it back too.
Right.
That one those NDC, those opposition get it.
Mm-hmm.
Those opposition and them they too wicked. Well, when people get in and so, right, and they had to come in power, how people looking at them? Eh? How people looking at them? Oh, boy.
I know what you mean.
Oh, boy.
But it's always a pleasure hearing from you, Miss Jacob.
Brother Scotty.
Oh, he's good. He's always good. He's right next door.
Eh?
He's right next door.
Right. Mommy Dad tell me she see him two weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
He and his little son.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me looking good.
Yep.
Tell me good.
All right. Well, it's a pleasure hearing from you, Miss Jacob, as always.
Yes, and I'm glad talking to you too, sweetheart. And girl, I have breadfruit, girl.
Oh, well, send some down for me, Miss Jacob. I always want to make some breadfruit
how
chips.
How I go send it down by who? And who to pick it?
Oh. I think I might have to make a trip up St. David's to see you.
Eh?
I think I may have to make a trip up St. David's to see you.
Yeah, man, you have to make a trip to come and look for me. Come and look for me.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Come and look for me.
All right, well, you enjoy the rest of your day, darling.
Two breadfruit. They say they want to go and buy 2 breadfruit.
All right. Well, enjoy your day, Miss Jacob. It's a pleasure hearing from you.
Enjoy your day and your wonderful weekend.
You too.
So what we doing? What headquarters doing? Headquarters are having a line?
We don't know as yet, but once the information is there, we'll let you know.
Right. Well, tell Yellow Man there. They were so happy to talk to Yellow Man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he tell me he couldn't come up with the function card and make something appointment.
Yeah. Well,
so you all have a wonderful weekend. God bless you all, and I love you. And kiss your children for me.
All right, we'll do that. Yeah.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Always a pleasure hearing from Miss Jacob. I aspire to be as vibrant as she is when I get to that age, you know. But guys, we have a lot to talk about. We have so many accomplishments happening in Grenada, so many things to come, and we definitely do have to be appreciative of where we are now as a people. You know, I was listening and I was making the point before the call to the Senate and listening to the young senators talking about, well, why were there deductions in the SEED program? And why were there deductions in the needy assistance program? And why were there deductions in the, you know, in these areas? And I don't know if she could hear me through the TV, you know, because I was shouting. But that's what we were saying. It's one pot. So if you have to increase in another area, something else will have to be decreased. Because it's one pie. It's 100%, you know. If you take a percentage out of one part of 100 and put it into a next part of that percentage, one percentage gets smaller and the other have to get big in order for the other to get bigger. That's how it works. There's no secret source of fund. There's no mint to print extra money when we need it. There isn't that. So we have to now manage, shift around, move around a few things. Government has to make the hard decisions. We have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller. Hello, caller. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
How are you?
Hello.
Hi, good morning.
How are you?
How are you?
Okay, I'm alright. Okay, so far I'm not hearing you that much.
Oh, you hearing me now?
Yeah, a little louder.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, that's better. My question is that people use all sort of negative comments. What is the achievement at the end of the day? You know, what is the achievement? Especially when people do through Facebook and stuff like that. I mean, back in time when you look at the media, it wasn't that way. Yeah. Even our own Mr. Jerry Moyni is here. Later, Mr. Leslie Pierre, these people weren't like that, you know. But it is disgusting.
Yeah.
You know, it is very, very disgusting. I mean, try to set standards by you taking a negative approach, by you want to see your president being false, or you want to be there, by destroying somebody else. To me, that does not make sense. If you have something good to say, say it in a good way. Forget about it. It is you. You are the one who wants to be in the upfront. So try to do your best to do it in a correct manner. So people look at you in a positive way. But, I mean, at the end of the day, many, many times you see, look, as I said about the recent the video that was pushed out, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah? What are you trying to put in the mind of the youth? Yeah? If you look at the era of the past government, meaning the opposite party that there was there, I don't know if people sit and really think that the amount of direct psychology that is pumped into the young one's mind of what was going on. I don't know if anybody paid attention to it, you know. By doing what you're doing now, are you achieving? Are you, I don't know, but how, I am not, but you are an indirect media person, right?
Yeah.
You're doing your program, and I show, and as alongside what you could tell you, the rating, you look for the rating of the positivity, what the rating you're getting for your program. Yeah, are you making positive in the minds of the people? This is how these things has been done. You know, if you're doing a program and you're not creating any positivity into the minds of the people and their life, do you really think it's worthwhile doing a program like what you're doing?
Well, exactly. That's it. It's your goal. It's what you're hoping to achieve from what you're doing.
Yeah. By I using also wrongful language against you, Ms. Duncan, and seeing myself go forward, you think, will I have a long career or a short career, even if I do achieve? It doesn't make any sense destroying somebody else. Yeah? But you have to know at the end of the day how I see. If I see Ms. Duncan is doing X, right?
Yeah.
Then if I want to do better, then I should come up with a better way of doing it. What you doing.
Yeah.
Yeah? That is how I see it. I don't know if I'm correct on that one.
No, yeah, you're correct.
Yeah. I don't believe in destroying somebody else's career.
Exactly.
You know? It's just better. Left, right, and center, you look at the politicians many times, they use all, you know, the way and means of destroying one another. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I think on a long-term future, will you attract more and more people to vote or participate in a general election? Yeah, I don't think. I don't know, you know. But we should be positive of what we're selling.
Yeah.
That is how I see it, you know. Because you want to be governor, you want to be a leader, you want to be there for the people. But we have to do it in a positive manner. That
In a
is
positive
right,
light.
you know?
You're right.
Okay, right.
Thank you so much, Kola.
Okay, have a blessed day today.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. And I was making the point before the caller that they're asking about these reductions. And I remember years ago when there was a larger allocation for the Imani program and so on. And these same people were the ones who said, well, why the large allocation? So you have to know what you want. You know, you can't just condemn because you see an avenue to condemn. You know, you have to understand the reasoning behind it. And I mean, the reasoning is clear. If you have to increase the size of one portion or one allocation, it is quite obvious, unless the size of the overall pie is increased, then we're looking at allocations across the board being increased. But unless you don't have that, then you would note that there must be a reduction for there to be an increase. All right? There must be a reduction. So when we were sitting here weeks ago or months ago saying, well, if you raise salaries to $90 million over the period, then it means that we would have to reduce for the vulnerable and so on. They thought we were just using that as an excuse. It's not an excuse, it's reality. In order for one sector to increase, unless we increase the overall pie, in order for one slice to increase, another slice has to decrease. It's the reality. And it's the difficult decision that the government has to make. Do you really think that they want to decrease in these sectors? Of course not. Government wants to do more for everybody. Because in your government, if you look at your government closely, you don't have the rich and famous, the millionaires and the billionaires. You don't have these people. As your representation, you have ordinary Grenadians, school teachers, your neighbor. These are the people that represent you So they understand. They feel what you feel. They see what you see. And they know. And that is why this administration is so hell-bent on ensuring that they can meet the needs, lift the standard of living of every Grenadian. We have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Hey, good morning, Ms. Duncan.
Good morning.
Hello?
Hi, good morning.
Yeah, morning. Yeah, Ms. Duncan. When I listen to the opposition, they talk about they don't have that, they don't have that. I wonder if we still in 2008 to 2013. Because I know in 2013, there were a lot of things absent. But I could stand and testify that there's a lot of things that was not there in 2013. They are presently there. Yes, we still need more. Right? We still need more. And when you look at the achievement of this government, it's way above the ratio about 1 to 12. And this government is doing a lot, and they're doing a lot of progress and development is taking place in our country. Because our country is moving. When 2008 to 2013, the country was locked down. Remember, Parliament was closed down for 6 months. The deficit was $18 million. Salary was paid late every month. Right? But right now, people getting paid before month 10. So if we see the difference and the progress this country is on right now. So they have nothing good to offer, only negative things. So I would say they try to distract us of development and focus on the negative. But we know what the government is doing. And we will support it, and the majority of people agree.
Hello?
You have a wonderful day. God bless you.
You too. So much has been done. And you know, they get defensive and all in their emotions when we start talking about the period of 2008 to 2013. But we have to talk about it. Because one is the only period he was in government. And you said, well, we're going to do this and we're going to do that and we're going to do the other and it's time for change. Oh, and the wind of change is blowing. But we have to remember, not all wind is good wind, you know. Not all wind is good wind. So a wind of change blew over Grenada. It did. I agree with that 100%. In 2008 to 2013, there was a wind of change. But it wasn't a good wind. It was more like a hurricane that just passed through and just tore through the economy. And yes, you can use the excuse that, oh, well, the economy was in a bad state. But you know what? I'll find that clip because I know it's somewhere about. When in 2007, when Dr. Mitchell stood and said that we need to start preparing the country for the economic change that was happening worldwide. I remember that. The then Minister of Finance in 2008, Mr. Nazim Burke, said, no, Grenada is at a good place. The economy is ripe. You know, had we put those plans in place in 2007, when it was recommended by the then Prime Minister, Dr. Mitchell, imagine where the country would be right now. Are we in the best of places as a country? No. But we have achieved so much. We have so much to be proud of as a people. We have so many things to be thankful for. Grenada has received so many accolades worldwide for how it handles its economy. These are the things that we need to be proud of. I got the Al Jazeera video about 40 times on my phone. I got the statement from the government 3 times. What does that tell you? What does that say about us as a people? That when it comes to propaganda and negativity, it's widespread. But when the positivity is there, it's like the best kept secret? Is that what we want to be said about us as a people? Of course not. So you see, we must work together, regardless of our political affiliation. Leave that competitiveness for election time. And let us be honest in ourselves. We have to work together to ensure that Grenada thrives, that Grenada succeeds, that our economy flourishes and is stable for years to come, so that our children can inherit a wealthy country. And not just wealth in terms of monetary value, but wealth in terms of morals, wealth in terms of infrastructure, wealth in terms of credibility, wealth in terms of the economy. These are the things that we need to strive for. Because at the end of the day, regardless of what any political party would say, they must have one common goal. And that one common goal must be to build Grenada. To see Grenada flourish. To lift the standard of Grenadians. That must be their goal. And if that is your goal, and if you say that that is your goal, then you can't stand on public forums and condemn every good thing that this government has done just because you want to end up in power. You can't engage a new or media company to bash the credibility of your prime minister and in turn damage the reputation of Grenada and say that that is your goal. We have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, and how are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. I just wanted to go back. We're talking about the 2008. 2008 is not a time I wanted to remember. That was a time of devastation. Remember when Hurricane hit Grenada? That's what it was like. There was no spending power. People afraid to open their mouth and talk. When you're talking to some people, they keep turning around like a thief to see who is looking at them because they're frightened of losing their job. It wasn't good at all. I couldn't sell nothing in my restaurant. Before that, my restaurant was going very well, and the people didn't have money to buy anything. The rest of the stuff I prepared for the day, I had also give it away to my neighbors who have young children to feed them. It was a time people doesn't want to reflect back on. It's a bad time. You see, there's a lot of good things is happening in this country now. I must give credit to my minister. She's doing very, very well in Carriacou and Petit Martinique. Yeah. I go around the island Sunday and I see the work that she's been done. We used to talk about bad road. No, we're not talking about bad road anymore. Yeah. All what we want in Carriacou now is some more development to make sure everyone have the opportunity to apply for a job. That's all we want. So we have to look into the private investors to come in and to help us in Carriacou. She's doing her best what she can, and I give her full credit. And give you thanks. And thank you. Have a lovely day, eh?
You as well. Thank you so much for your contribution, caller. Yeah, so much to look forward to. In 2020, let me just list. Let me list a few of the private sector improvements or the private sector things that we have to look forward to, projects in the private sector. All right? We have Hideaway True Blue, where a total of $22 million was invested in a 44-bedroom condominium development, which created at least 70 construction jobs. And now that operation has commenced between 7 to 10 full-time jobs. Tell me that this government is not doing anything. That in itself has created an enabling environment for what? 70 people to get jobs and 7 to 10 persons got full-time employment. We have 50 newly constructed apartment units by Ace Holding Limited, which created permanent employment for 10 more Grenadians. That is 10 mouths now that have been fed. We have Comfort Zone Limited located in Shrewblue, which is a $4.3 million project that involved the construction of 10 single-unit apartments, a restaurant and a mini-mart. Construction employment averaged 80 persons, with the start of operation of 20 to 35 people being employed. Tell me that is not beneficial to us as Grenadians. We have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Miss Duncan. How are you doing?
I'm good. Good morning.
Yeah, Shalon here. I'm making sure they know it's me that call.
Let them know.
Hey, I'm good. As usual. So I'd just like to say a special good morning to all the listeners of Hard Talk, locally, regionally, and internationally. And I hope everyone is having a fabulous week this week, and that they have a very, very, very wonderful weekend. So hope everything is going all well and okay. And how are you doing this morning?
Oh, I'm doing fine. I'm doing just fine.
Yes, absolutely. I called because there are one or two things that I've been hearing that I think need to be addressed. I've heard you address it before, but I wanted to add my voice to it. The first one that I wanted to add my voice to was the issue of the Al Jazeera documentary.
Yeah.
And Ms. Duncan, you know, we have a problem in the Caribbean region, and we have a problem here in Grenada. And that problem is, you see, once you take a Caucasian person to give a story, and you put that person in a shirt and tie, everybody immediately starts to believe that story.
Yeah.
It's a sort of holdover from the mentality of slavery, that even in Africa right now, when somebody is pushing a scam, they go and they get a white guy to try and lend legitimacy to what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it permeates our Caribbean region because it continues with our people right here in Grenada. Because I couldn't believe that I hear people still talking about briefcase. Something that is over 15 years old.
Yeah.
Something that we had a commission of inquiry set up by the government of Grenada, the Cheltenham Commission of Inquiry, that came out, gave a report, exonerated the Prime Minister. And now because you have two white persons coming back and talking, and listen, I'm not saying this to be racist, I'm saying it because it's a fact. If we look at our people, because they see and they realize, okay, it's this person that's speaking about it. And you know, the persons I'm most worried about are those young people who back in 2002, they probably was in primary school.
Yeah.
They didn't carry the kind of age I'm carrying. They was probably in primary school. They was probably in secondary school. So they wasn't following what's going on. So to them, they're hearing about this thing and like this is some sort of new thing and so on. And then they come and they start to speak about shrimp farms. So because a non-Grenadian, a white guy come and say that Prime Minister Mitchell do A and B, all of a sudden make it true? Look at the people who are on this thing. You had George Grant, George Worm, Jude Bernard, all people who are known to not like the best bone in Dr. The Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, who are known to not like the New National Party, and who have been pushing the same story for the last 15 years or so. These are the people that Al Jazeera came and they interview. But because it is an international news agency, and because some people with one slant to it, why they didn't come and interview government ministers? How come Al Jazeera ain't talk about St. Kitts, the country with the worst passport program in history in the region, St. Kitts? They didn't mention a word about St. Kitts. But they focus on Dominica, where we have elections taking place, and I hope everything is going okay over there this morning, and Grenada. And they focus on Grenada in specific with Dr. Mitchell and Briefcase and Restina and all this sort of thing. Things from way back in the early 2000s, we're in 2019. But you have local elements here, because I have no doubt that opposition forces here in Grenada have been in contact with Al Jazeera. The mere fact that you see George Grant and George Worm, those two individuals, and Jude Bernard, you know that the hands of the opposition are all over that Al Jazeera video. So they come out with this thing, and a lot of people taking this thing as though it's some sort of new thing and something that just come up and all sorts of things, and you hear people talking about, oh, this and that and the other, and so because they have a mentality problem with themselves. That's why some people bleach their skin, because they don't like black. That's why they make statements as calling people the little black boy. That's why they make it seem as having darker skin is something that's wrong, because you were born with more melanin, because you were born with a certain complexion that the sun loves you, that something seems to be wrong with you. And it's a mentality that is not just here in Grenada, you know. It's throughout the Caribbean, it's in Africa, it's in different places of darker hued people, that as long as you do something and you see a white guy come and talk about it, all of a sudden that make it true. What make it true? That didn't make it true. That doesn't make it true. I see some people pushing this thing here and talking about it as though this thing is something new or something true. They're talking about the shrimp farm. Prime Minister Mitchell, since earlier this year or late last year, announced an investigation into the shrimp farm. So it is not Al Jazeera bust any news on shrimp farm. It's not Al Jazeera make any pronouncement on shrimp farm. Even in the parliament of the country, you heard about that particular program, that particular investor, the shrimp farm, and what was taking place. And you have one of the people saying one story, one of the guys who were involved, the other one saying, no, what that guy is saying is a lie. But the people here are not telling you that, you know. They're only telling you one side what one guy say. They're not telling you that the other one saying, listen, what this one claimed that the Prime Minister said is not true. They're not broadcasting that. They're only giving you one side of the story. And it's amazing because it shows that we still have that slavery mentality among many of us.
Yeah.
We still have that beholden thing to massa. So that once somebody of a certain hue makes a statement immediately, it seems as though they believe it. And I have a serious problem with that because it means a lot of our people still have those mental slavery chains on them. Because they should be able to think outside of the box and not simply believe just because, okay, Al Jazeera put it up. If it was on Fox News, the same people who discuss Fox News right now would be the ones praising and saying, look, Fox News had it.
Yeah.
The same people. But what is more worrying than that, Ms. Duncan, I don't know how closely you've been following what has been taking place in Dominica. I don't know how closely you've been following that. And the thing I'm most worried about is that I'm hoping that what is taking place in Dominica does not become the new norm for politics in the Caribbean region. We are known as peaceful people. Dominica is known as a peaceful country. More peaceful than most others.
Yeah.
So it's amazing to see the sort of things that we see happening over the past few weeks in Dominica. And I'm hoping that today, that the will of the people comes through and that there must be a winner and a loser at the end of the day today. One side will definitely win, one side will lose. Who will win and who will lose, I'll keep my opinion on that one to myself. But at the end of the day today, there will be a winner, there will be a loser. And those who lose have to accept that they lost. Because when you don't accept what that you lost, the kind of behavior that we've been seeing for the past few weeks is going to be multiplied, and we have to be careful with that sort of thing. We have to be absolutely careful because there are elements in this country right now, most vociferous on radio and social media, calling and begging and pleading and having all sorts of fantastic dreams about replicating the same sort of behavior here in Grenada.
Well, I heard with my own ears, and I'm sure everybody else did, when Claudette said that it would not be an easy time in the country. I heard
because these individuals are hoping to replicate the same.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this again, Ms. Duncan. If the results later today or early in the morning go in one particular direction, it will be fuel to certain people to feel that is the way that you have to behave. When you're in one position and you want to get to a next one. I've heard persons on radio advocating basically saying that this is the sort of behavior we need in Grenada. This is the sort of behavior we need in Grenada. We need people to come out and block roads and light fires and be at war with each other. That's the sort of thing that somebody who wants to hold the reins of our power is going to say, that we need to reach a stage in Grenada that when we have an election, we have to ask the RSS to come in to try and keep things calm. That is what we want in Grenada. I mean, proper thinking Grenadians should be stepping out and saying, no, we don't accept that view.
Yeah.
That we will continue, because if you are a lazy political party, if you refuse to do your political work, if you refuse to do the work that has to be done as a political party, and I'm not going to spell for them what that work is, because if they are a political party, they ought to know.
Right.
If they refuse to do the work that a political party has to do to win, put their machinery in place, they can't blame the people for making the decision that they've made. If you can't fix a political party, how you expect to fix a country?
Exactly.
Instead of fixing a country, you have these people advocating that, Grenadians need to take a page from the Dominicans' book to go and block road to the airport, to go and damage the tourism industry, to damage the image of Grenada and the economy of Grenada. I think Grenadians need to listen carefully. I am not telling them don't listen. I don't do like other people and say don't listen. Listen to everybody. But you need to listen to them. And then you need to sit in your quiet time and make a decision and say, listen, these people ain't good.
Yeah.
They ain't make sense. Look what they advocating.
Yeah.
Because it's very troubling. I'm hoping that this does not become the new norm for politics in the region. I'm seriously hoping it does not become the new norm.
We all do.
Yeah, and there are people within the National Democratic Congress of Grenada that are advocating that sort of behavior. They are activists and they are card-carrying executive members of the NDC that are advocating that kind of behavior.
Yeah.
And I say that it's going to be a sad, sad day if that sort of behavior carries through to other political campaigns in the Caribbean region.
You're right.
That's all I have to say for today, Ms. Duncan.
All right.
And let me say a special good morning to Mammy George and Miss Bernice. Cammy, I hope you got this stuff. That is not me, that is Watts.
Yeah.
Not Sheldon, that is Watts. So, no, I'm making sure she know where it came from. And to all the listeners via the various media, I say a very, very special good morning to all. You all will be hearing from me from time to time.
Yeah.
All right, so you enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, you too.
All right, bye-bye.
Yeah, he's so very right. It's what we've been advocating for the longest while. We have to be careful to not end up in a situation, and we were close to it, close enough when you had people advocating for strike, demonstrate, civil unrest. Before there's an issue, that's what we cry out. And that should not be the case. So we have so many things to be thankful for. So many things happening in our private sector, in our public sector, for the people of Grenada. So many things happening. We have Reese Investment, who has pumped $85 million into a commercial complex of hotel rooms with full amenities, entertainment facilities, and a building center, which is nearing completion. 20 persons will benefit from permanent employment when the facility will begin its partial operation, earliest 2020. So this government is not a government of the now. We don't see things happening now and say, okay, well, this is for next year and that is for next year. No. There are plans in place, investment plans in place for people for years to come. We have the transformation of what was formerly known as the Grenadian by Rex Resort into a multi-million-dollar Royalton Grenada by Sunwing Travel Group Incorporated, right? This is already underway. 400 persons are employed in the construction phase in this project that is $201 million. And 450 people in Grenada They are expected to get permanent employment. I mean, how can you sit and see all of this and hear all of this and still say that there's nothing happening in Grenada? We have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, and how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, I'm doing good. I'm trying to prepare for my little parang up in Carriacou here.
Oh, Lord. Well, I hear that the parang train is down here tonight.
Yeah, the parang train down there. I tell them pass by you,
Yeah, they're close to my area. I'm going to go and listen tonight.
No, I think they go pass by you.
You think they go pass by me?
Yeah, because I want them already, I say, make sure they pass by Miss Duncan for me, please.
All right.
I pay them for passing by you too before they come, but if they come, don't give them nothing. Don't give them nothing if they come. You could give them up some wine if you have. But don't give them money, Don't give them no money. I give them already.
All right. And how are things up on your side, Mr. Mills?
Well, everything is okay. I'm trying to make it the best how I can.
Y'all get some rain?
This morning, yes.
Y'all got some rain?
Yeah, this morning we got some rain.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, it's always a pleasure hearing from you,
Yeah, well, no problem,
I have to make a trip up to Carriacou, come and see.
You black wine already?
No, I ain't get it yet,
But why are you waiting on?
I don't even know.
Well, keep waiting. Person might come. When the train there around to buy you there, somebody might turn you a black wine, don't worry.
All right. Well, I look forward to that.
Yeah, look forward, no problem. You could look around, you can never tell.
Never tell.
No,
Thanks for calling, Mr. Mills. All right.
That's Christmas time,
Of course, of course.
Season. So you never know why I might get. What you're looking for, you'll get it.
Well, I hope so.
Huh?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. Well, you enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you all get some more rain in Carriacou.
Well, as you talk, they look like I give you in bad luck, because the sun just come out one time,
what?
Just as I say the rain, I see the sun come out and the full glory. Well, it look like I giving it bad name.
Nah, man, it gonna fall again. Don't worry.
Huh?
It's gonna fall again.
Yeah, it go fall again, man.
Mm-hmm.
So everything good otherwise?
Everything's wonderful down here.
You don't know when you would be coming back in Carriacou?
Well, I was planning to come up for the holiday, take a trip.
I wonder if I must make the train pass and pick you up and bring you up by.
Maybe.
Well, I remember while I'll try and talk to them.
All right.
I'll tell the leader of the band pass and see you. They must pass.
Okay.
You know Neil Matterson and lefties, Neil Basie and lefties?
No, I've heard the names before, but I'm not.
Oh, them are the leader of the band.
Oh.
So I have good connection with them.
All right. Well, tell them pass by me.
Once I get to one of them, things go work my way.
All right.
So, well, you have a good day and you take care of yourself, miss.
You too.
All right?
All right. Thanks for calling.
Nice talking to you.
Yeah. So many good things to look forward to in Grenada. So many. So many job creations. We have so many good things. Our economy is flourishing. And I say it. You can take it to mean what you want. The economy is flourishing. People are getting employment. The atmosphere is ripe. The environment is ripe for employment. More and more of our young people are being engaged. Just yesterday, there was a graduation of young men from the Empower program. And guess what? That means if these young men have graduated, slots have just opened for more of our young men to now become engaged in the Empower program. We have the new Imani program, where more of our young people are getting skill training, further education opportunities, scholarship opportunities far and wide available to our children. So much is happening. How can you sit comfortably and tell the people of Grenada that there's nothing going on? How could you? How could you feel comfortable in yourself to do that all in the name of power? There's so many opportunities available in the agricultural sectors for farmers needing assistance. You know, and those that are engaged with the private sector through that linkage, that marriage with tourism and agriculture. How could you? How could we make the Grenadian people and the people in the diaspora believe that Grenada is in such a bad state that it needs an intervention? When the facts are there, facts cannot hide. Facts do not lie. It's there. The information is there. We have so many private sector businesses. And I heard recently a comment that in order for the government to grow the economy, they must engage the private sector. But the government has been doing that. They have. We're making it sound as if the government just sit down in office with their feet on the table doing absolutely nothing and the country is falling apart, that we are in such a deplorable state. When you have in just one investment opportunity alone, 450 people are expected to get employment, and 400 people are currently employed in just that one investment. And there are others. So many others. Buena Vista Apartments, 30 construction jobs, 8 persons to receive employment. The Point of Petite Calavini Resort, Prickly Bay Waterside, Tower Estates, Quali Shore, Renegade, Excellent Farms, Grenada Tobacco, and I could go on and on and on and on. So many things happening in Grenada, and you still feel comfortable going on public forums and saying that there is nothing happening in Grenada. So then we Grenadians must ask this important questions. And that important question is, do you view us as illiterates? Do you view us as foolish? That you would come with the same story and try to convince us that it's something new. That you would say that there's nothing happening in Grenada when the facts are there, when we could just step outside and see it. You know? Can we do more in the country? Is there more to be done? Do we want more to happen? The answer will always be yes. More can always be done. But the problem is, we need to have a united front as Grenadians to ensure that more is done, to improve our productivity levels, to help improve the economy. And we have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Hello, good morning. Can I speak to you off air 1 minute, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't take a call off air right now, but you can call back in about 15 minutes or so and you should be able to get me.
No, Miss Duncan, it's very important that I speak to you.
Okay.
Urgently.
All right. Well, it seems like we're going to have to take a short break, callers. listeners, we're going to take a short break, and then we will be back with the conversation on how Grenada is doing so much better.
It's not a loss, it's just a lesson. Be grateful for your blessings. You'll be digging deep to find that inner strength. No, it's not the time to give up. No, nah. I'm telling you, nothing they do will never defeat. Where we control your destiny. I'm telling you, take your hand and point it up in the ceiling for me. Please, I feel so irate. Wake up and I ready. Must make it ever steady. Setting goals is necessary while they idling. Precious time they wasting like a disease. It starts spreading. Now it shift their eyesight. I say, I don't know why. Some will worry about the next man's stride. Try to match up a next man's life. Fix your life. And as soon as I start walking hard, you want to vex something must be wrong, you man. I don't come here for that. All you help me. One and dirty. I'm telling you. Nothing they do will never defeat me. Control with your destiny.
All right, guys, sorry for the interruption, and we are back. You know, I am baffled. I cannot understand. It leaves me to wonder, how do you view us as Grenadians? In terms of our thinking, our level of reasoning, how do you view us to want to give us the same story over and over again and expect us to just accept it? How? You know, it's very sad. And I recently listened to a press conference. And in that press conference, and I want to make this absolutely clear, where a statement was made regarding the shrimp farm. You know, sometimes when you have nothing else to talk about, you have this one story that you just keep telling over and over and over until somebody picks it up and runs with it. That's what's happening here. So the Prime Minister stood in Parliament and announced an investigation into the shrimp farm. You know, and all of a sudden, now they're talking about the Prime Minister say he invested monies into the shrimp farm and all. The man never said that. You see, sometimes you find people who want to take the English language and just twist it around, turn it around to suit their own needs. I listened to the same press conference they're talking about that the Prime Minister had. And the man stood on the podium and said, the parliamentary representative, along with the people of St. Mark, and you have another investor, the Prime Minister. Now, investor in that term can be used in any aspect. The man did not say that he invested money. He said that himself, along with the parliamentary representative and the people of St. Mark, are invested in the project. But of course there would be. Why would there not be? It means further job creation. It means further investment in that constituency. So don't make it sound as if there's corruption in the shrimp farm. There's no corruption in the shrimp farm related to Dr. Mitchell at all. The man said that he is an investor in. He could invest his time. He could invest other resources. But investor in that sense simply meant that he, along with the parliamentary representative and the people of St. Mark, are invested in seeing this project into tuition. So do not make it sound as if the gentleman is saying that he invested monies into. That's not what he said. Let's not go there. We have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
It's Hard Talk.
Hard Talk. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what I want to say here is that it's true that we might be supporting certain political organization, and parties. But whenever someone do something, and once it's wrong, I think we must say it's wrong, despite our closeness, our friendship, our affiliation with that group, person or organization,
Right.
Because at the end of the day, right is right and wrong is wrong. You understand what I'm saying?
I am listening.
So not because we support a man or we believe in a man or we believe in a party, we should always support. Life is about principle. We have to have principle. Someone do good, we say they do good, and we should prepare for criticism.
Mm-hmm.
That's what builds us. So we shouldn't make the same mistakes.
Mm.
You understand what I'm saying here?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah, that's my point I wanted to make this morning.
Thank you so much for your point, caller.
Yeah.
So, guys, we have to be careful in what we allow people to tell us to believe. You know, the facts are always there. Any argument is easily resolved when facts are produced, And once the facts are produced, you would find that the topic either dies or it's spun in a different way, or even they may, find something else to talk about. Or, in the case of Dr. Mitchell, when you can't find anything else, return to old garbage, put it in a clean bag, and try to give people the same garbage again. That's what they tried to do with our Prime Minister. They took an issue that has long been requited, where he has been cleared on all allegations of corruption, and they tried to feed it to us again, with the sole intent of misleading the people of Grenada. We cannot accept this kind of behavior as a people. We must demand for betterment, demand for more and honesty from the opposition. These people are fighting to get into power. For what reason, I do not know. Because they are yet to provide us with a plan that says, these are the things that we plan to accomplish. This is what we want to see for Grenada. Instead, they resort to propaganda, cheap tricks, old stories, hiding behind good people. That's what they have resorted to, and have yet been able to tell us, this is what we plan. But instead, but it have a lot of people like that, a lot of people like that. They have no ideas, no plans, but as soon as you come up with a plan, they find a million things wrong with that plan and a million reasons why it can't work. And when you ask them, okay, then what do you suggest? They have absolutely no suggestions. What would you do? But we have to want more people. There's a lot of things happening within our country. I even looked at a comment as it relates to the taxiway that is expected to be constructed on the Maurice Bishop International Airport. It's not an extra runway. It's a taxiway. And it's necessary. You think the government just want a taxiway because they feel it nice? Of course not. It is necessary. If we are planning to improve our tourism sector, all of this work is happening as it relates to the private sector investments in tourism. Then we must improve our ports of entry, right? To be able to accommodate that change. We have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Lady, good morning.
Good morning.
The man that called just now, you want to tie your head or what?
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
I listen to him. Everyone is
Yeah,
entitled.
I listen to him too, and I know where he coming from.
Mm-hmm.
But they better be careful and know what they're about. So you have your facts and you don't take them on, okay?
Absolutely.
No,
Facts
don't take them
lie.
on. I'm listening to you, yeah.
All right.
Good work, good work.
Thank you. Enjoy your day. Facts don't lie. Facts are undisputed. So we have all of these people, all of these private sector companies investing in our tourism sector. We must now do our due diligence to ensure that the country is able to accommodate all of these changes. We have to improve our ports of entry. So I hear a lot of people talking about, well, why they didn't use that loan or that grant and fix the hospital and fix the healthcare system. And come on, let's be reasonable. Every single issue that comes up in Grenada, every grant, every allocation, there are a few that believe we must take it and pump it into the healthcare system. Okay, let's play with that idea for a little while. Let's take the $3 million that is going to be allocated to the Ministry of Implementation, and let's put that into healthcare. Let's do that. Let's take that $6 million increase in the budget for the Ministry of Tourism. Let's take that and pump that into healthcare. Let's do that. But then what you would find happening is that you put all of these efforts into healthcare, but is still one part we're dealing with, eh? So that means the other sectors will suffer. So you would find loss of jobs in that sector. You would find that there is a depletion or there is a less emphasis placed on tourism sector. Guess what? It starts to diminish, right? And you know, if you have people who in working, they'll depend on the healthcare system more. So then you need to find more money to pump into the healthcare system because there's a higher demand now for usage, right? It's a cycle. And that is where proper management comes in. That is where proper management comes in, which is what this government is bent on doing. Managing this economy so that we have a balance. Can more be done? Yes. Does more have to be done? Yes. Nobody is disputing that. Nobody is saying that the roads don't have to be fixed. Nobody is saying that the healthcare system does not need attending to. Nobody says that we don't need better implementation strategies. Nobody is saying that. But what makes the difference is the plan or the plans that are being put in place to deal with this. That is what makes the difference. We have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Right, could I say something, please? Very careful.
Yes.
Listen to me. If somebody call and they give your views, they make this. Why somebody got to call back and talk over it? That is the man's view, so that you respect what you have to say. You don't call back, come back and blank him and say what you have to say. So when somebody says something, they will leave it right there, please, now.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, everyone is entitled to their opinions. So
that's right, yeah.
we just have to leave people to...
Well, why you should say that? I'm talking about why you don't say already. Let me let all dogs line sleep now, man.
Yeah.
One man said that if you leave him alone, don't come and talk over what he say. You understand?
All right.
You have a blessed day.
You too.
Nice.
So much to be done. So much that this government continues to do. We could sit here all day and talk about nurses leaving the system. We could do that. But the reason that nurses are leaving here and looking for greener pastures is because there's a deficit in those greener pastures as well. You know, they ain't gonna leave Grenada and go to the UK in hopes of finding a new job. Some of these nurses have already secured a job even before leaving Grenada. You know? And I have somebody here with a comment that says, if the healthcare system is a problem, when the hospital ship was there, a lot of people refused to go to get medication and treatment. And that is a fact. You know, it is a fact. We had people here who were willing to give their time and resources into assisting with our healthcare deficit. And what did some of us as Grenadians do? We condemned. We made a lot of noise about they come to infect us. I mean, it's funny. It's funny, but it's serious. You see, we have to try our best not to be misguided. Where have the critical thinking skills we acquired in our primary level education gone to? We need to be independent thinkers. Make decisions based on factual information. And then we'll start seeing a difference in the country. Because with all of the economic growth, with all of the wonderful things happening in Grenada, with all of this change, the most important change that needs to happen is our mindset. Our willingness to accept these changes. Our enthusiasm in wanting to see Grenada flourish, to see Grenada succeed. That must be the first thing that happens. In all of this, the government can do everything that they can to manage the economy, to fix the healthcare system, to create more job opportunities, to create more scholarship opportunities for our children, to fix our roads, improve our education system. They can do all of that. But it is our mindset, our willingness to accept these changes, our ability to be grateful for what we have, thankful for what we have achieved, and hopeful for a better future for Grenada. Guys, this is all the time that I have today. It's always a pleasure being here with you. In all that you say and all that you do, be safe, be secure. We want to be talking with you and not about you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
The following is a statement from the Government of Grenada on diplomatic appointments. The Government of Grenada categorically denies the allegations which were recently made in the media regarding the CBI program, as well as the issuance of diplomatic passports. The government further states that no one has made any campaign contribution in order to be appointed as an ambassador. Neither is there any requirement for individuals to make campaign contributions in order to be considered for an appointment. Citizenship by investment programs are well-established investment programs internationally, which are maintained by many countries, including the US, Canada, and the UK. Grenada's CBI program has been ranked as one of the best-run programs by the International Monetary Fund, World Bank, and other financial institutions. There were many unfortunate pronouncements which have led to confusion following a recent well-publicized television documentary, which leaves the erroneous impression that the issuing of diplomatic passports is a natural extension of or in any way related to the CBI program. The two are governed separately and have their own rules for implementation under clear policy guidelines. Furthermore, the government of Grenada has a clear and distinct policy which has been in place and implemented by all administrations since 1974, which governs the appointment of diplomats. That policy is consistent with international norms that have been set out under the Vienna Convention, which governs these matters. In fact, it is important to note that a diplomatic passport does not automatically grant immunity to the holder. The only appointments that are subject to diplomatic immunity according to the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations are officials who are accredited by the receiving state. Ambassadors at large, as per international protocol, while they benefit from certain courtesies, have no diplomatic immunity anywhere since they are not accredited by a receiving state. All persons considered for appointments must A. be of good reputation and proven competence, B. not have any criminal record, C. possess the skills necessary to function in the designated role, and D. submit to rigorous and satisfactory due diligence checks prior to and at any time during the appointments. It is categorically false that diplomatic appointments are for sale and have in any way been bought by non-nationals who currently serve the interests of Grenada overseas. Any attempt to tarnish the name of Grenada and the people of Grenada can be rebutted with facts. Even the Al Jazeera documentary admitted in several instances that they were only making allegations and, by their own admission, stated several times that they could find no facts to substantiate their claims. The government of Grenada reassures the nation that its diplomatic appointments, as well as its CBI program, are conducted with the highest levels of integrity.
Marrast Hill to be open to vehicular traffic from Monday. We'll have details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news for Thursday, December 5th, I am Rikisha St. Louis. Works Minister Honorable Gregory Bowen says the Marrast Hill Road will be opened to vehicular traffic on Monday, following its closure due to road breakage last week. The temporary road fix was undertaken by Sunrise Construction Incorporated. Minister Bowen on Thursday said there has been a change in the scope of work for Marrast Hill, which originally included the construction of retaining walls. Following an accident which resulted in the breaking of the road, the decision was taken to do a temporary fix to avoid further disruption in the flow of traffic.
Originally, we had the retaining wall to be built, the area to be filled and compacted, and then resurfaced, and the road would then be reopened. However, that will take 28 days minimum, since before we could put any load against the retaining wall, it must be cured. We have decided now that we will fill without the retaining wall being built, and fill in such a manner that we'll expand it towards the side, and the road can then be reopened. At the expectation it is compare 28 days with Monday. This is the time we have in mind for reopening the road.
Minister Bowen says permanent construction work will resume in January during the slow period following the busy Christmas holiday. He encourages businesses to use the Christmas period to stockpile.
The rate at which the police force must deploy its members in areas where there will be no need if this road has reopened. And that is why from the policy level, from the government, the ministry level, we have decided to work it in this manner. Therefore, there will be an opportunity for the heavy trucks and the trailers to continue the business. We're asking, therefore, the business community to utilize this period to stockpile, because come January, in a low period, we will close this road and do the necessary works. Christmas time, a lot of traffic. You, the business community, the sugar mill, the flour mill, etc., you use it, so work day and night.
Contractor Desmond John explained the scope of work being done in the temporary phase of construction.
We have expanded the base and we are compacting the TIF in layers of 8 inches, making sure it's damp and moist, and we are receiving between 95% and 100% fracture. And we are bringing it right up to the surface. We'll put on a base course and then put a temporary wearing course on it. And that will hold for the period temporarily until the major work and permanent work start in January.
Private sector senator commends government's 2019 performance. Private sector representative in the Senate, Senator Christopher Diali, says government's performance in 2019 speaks volumes to the vision of the administration for the country. He said the sector rates the government for being stable, responsible, and for boosting investor confidence in the local economy during the last year. He was at the time making his contribution to the 2020 budget. According to Senator Diali, the government has been supportive of the private sector and continues to engage businesses in the affairs of the country. He's looking forward to more positive engagements in 2020.
That the performance in 2019 serves the private sector in two particular ways. It speaks to stability, because when government is showing that they can meet their targets and their fiscal responsibilities as they have laid out, it gives us the impression in the private sector that there is stability. It also says to us that when government can pay their bills on time to the private sector companies that buy from them, and even the utility companies, that is so critical to our survival, that is a positive. That is a positive. And we cannot let that bypass without saying that. It speaks to government meeting their responsibility, and that is an important thing. For us, the performance in 2019 has been commendable from a private sector point of view, and we believe that's the way to go, and we encourage the government to continue in that light.
Continuing with the news, government is pursuing the BOLT, Build, Operate, Lease, Transfer arrangement as a policy direction for saving financial resources on the rental of government facilities while creating hundreds of jobs for Grenadians. Prime Minister Dr. The Right Honorable Keith Mitchell made this announcement during the just concluded 2020 budget presentation at the Houses of Parliament in Mount Weldale. Dr. Mitchell said that the BOLT arrangement for 3 long-awaited infrastructural projects will incur no upfront demands on the government's coffers. In fact, he said the value of the projects to private entities is an estimated US $100 million and will create job opportunities for about 200 Grenadians. The finance minister indicated that the private sector's willingness to invest in our country is a testimony to its unmatched level of confidence in the local economy. However, the Prime Minister is even more heartened by the level of employment and economic activities these approved projects will generate. Among the buildings which will be renovated under this initiative are Governor General's residence, the Halls of Justice, and the police headquarters. This is a national report. We'll have more news after the break.
The Carenage will be transformed into a magical wonderland with lights, fun, music and action on Friday the 6th and Saturday 7th December in the first annual Festival of Lights. On December 6th, the action begins at 6 p.m. and on the 7th, the action begins at 5 p.m. and we go until 11. Come with your family to enjoy an amazing light show, a concert featuring our top local artists, Parang, Carol, Santa's Village, a kids zone, string band music, a Christmas night market, local cuisine and much, much more. But wait! there's more. On the 14th, the festivities begin at 5 p.m. and on the 21st, it kicks off at 3 p.m. Festival of Lights is sponsored by the Grenada Hotel and Tourism Association, Hideaway True Blue, Range Development, Harvey Law Group, National Lotteries Authority, Glenelg Natural Spring Water, Netherlands Insurance, and Jonas Brown and Hubbard's. Festival of Lights, the Carnage, December 6th and 7th, brought to you by the Grenada Tourism Authority and the Ministry of Tourism. No unauthorized vending.
Welcome back. One of Grenada's cultural icons has died. Mr. Winston Fleury worked tirelessly to ensure that Grenada became known on the world stage for its rich cultural heritage. In Carriacou, his flamboyant on-stage performances with the drum and his dancing moves to the big drum and quadrille are unlike any other. Minister for Culture and the Arts, Senator the Honourable Noland Cox, a native of Carriacou, extended condolences to the family of Mr. Fleury on the behalf of the government, saying his passing is indeed a great loss.
On behalf of the Ministry of Youth Development, Sports, Culture and the Arts, and of course the government of Grenada, we wish to extend condolences to his family, his kids in particular. I know it's a difficult period for them. His nephew, who I know also, who lives in Carriacou as well. So we ask them to be strong in this time.
Senator Cox also spoke to Mr. Fleury's contribution to culture, in particular the big drum, saying it was an invaluable one which spans decades.
He is a cultural icon for Carriacou. I know him as a young boy, moving, pushing the big drum, culture of big drum in Carriacou. He also had a rich history in terms of linking Carriacou to our African heritage. I think that is where he really focused most of his efforts on. He trained a number of persons in big drum, teaching them to play the drums. He also extended Carriacou, brought Carriacou culture to other parts of the world. He has done so much for us in terms of sustaining big drum on a whole in Carriacou. He really commands that aspect of our culture. I mean, when he takes a drum and starts to beat, everybody would move. You can hear a distinct difference. When he takes the floor to dance, his style, his confidence, I mean, he was just a notch above the rest.
Mr. Fleury, he says, also made valuable contributions to the agriculture sector on the Sister Isle.
He used to rear cattle. He had, at one point in time, the most cattle in Carriacou. He had a large flock, a large herd. He did a lot of work in terms of the development of cattle in Carriacou. And also after going and study, coming back and working as an agriculture extension, livestock extension officer. I also work along with him as a farmer as well. So he has a rich history on both sides of the coin, culture and on the farming side. So he's going to be missed.
Senator Cox says the contributions made by Mr. Fleury during his lifetime will always be acknowledged by the people of Carriacou and Petite Martinique. Paying tribute to Mr. Fleury, the Grenada Cultural Foundation described him as a distinguished gentleman who led the big drum movement in the Sister Isle of Carriacou and exposed it to an international audience from time to time. He was made a cultural ambassador of Grenada in 2011, and in 2017 he received the Prime Minister's Lifetime Achievement Award from the Grenada Cultural Foundation. Finally, in the news, the Grenada Tourism Authority has made a slight change to the inaugural Festival of Lights on Friday to ensure a smoother flow of traffic. The show will now begin at 7 p.m. instead of 6 p.m. However, the start times for the festival on the 7th, 14th and 21st will remain the same. During the festival, which was launched on October 8th, the Carnage will be lit from Buns Point to BB's Crabback. Day 1 will feature the launch of a dinghy concert and a light show, while Day 2 will feature local cuisine, a Christmas night market, and a chance for children to meet Santa Claus. Cole Hostialik, the GTA manager for product development and research, spoke to what patrons can expect.
Friday and Saturday are the main nights, and we have really great acts, so we're continuing to fine-tune those as we speak. We have it also on the 14th, where we have a mini Christmas market, and you're going to have some pan, for example. But on the 21st, we have a little bit more for the kids. On the 21st, we're going to have a bouncing castle area for them. We're going to have train rides around the Carnage. It's going to also start earlier. Right, so it's going to start at 3 p.m. and it's going to end at 9 o'clock. But every night when you come, we are going to be stapling in the light show, because that is the big wow for us. The laser lights and the little Santa projections and all of these things that are going to be on the plaza.
The GTA is looking forward to a fruitful event while also promoting the Carnage.
Hopefully, as we continue to go on, this is year one, but we see that it has so much potential for many more years to come. Of course, yes, the Ministry of Tourism and the Grenada Tourism Authority are the ones, spearheading this project, but we can't do it without the business community on the Carnage, and everybody has chipped in their own way.
That story just ended the national report for today, Thursday, December 5th, 2019. Let's recap the top story. Maras Hill to be opened to vehicular traffic from Monday. On behalf of the entire news team here at the Government Information Service, I am Rikisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.
Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new National Party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.